3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Rookie Profile episode. Today we're going to do running back. We're getting into Rashaad Penny's business. San Diego State running back, 5'11", 220.
King.
Going into is he 22 21?
He just turned 22.
Deuce. Heading into the league.
Deuces. Which was also his number at the combine.
Deuces. I like it.
Double
Maybe
deuces.
that was because of his birthday.
Maybe. It was a good luck charm, maybe, because he did pretty good.
Lucky number 2.
On February 2nd was his birthday.
All right, so
2-2.
Rashaad Penny is a pretty decent prospect as far as fantasy goes. He's going to be probably a late first round, early second round pick, depending on your league. But he is definitely worth the draft pick. Do you guys want to get into some of the things that you like or dislike about him?
Yeah, I actually liked him going into the combine, and I thought he did the combine pretty well. I think he kind of upped his stock a little bit, especially in a PPR league. He's a great pass catcher, so he does more than just run. And as he went, the San Diego State Aztecs went. Like when he had a couple of baggages, I think he had 3 games I read that were under 100 yards, and they lost all 3 of those games. So he was obviously the engine that made them run.
Said that he aims to follow Kareem Hunt's in Kareem Hunt's footsteps.
So he wants to lead the NFL in rushing his rookie year.
He led the college in rushing last year. 2,027 yards. Led all Division I players. So
I was surprised to see that as a backup to Donnell Pumphrey last year, or I'm sorry, the year before, he still rushed for over 1,000 yards as the backup. And Donnell Pumphrey was a stud at San Diego State too, so that just shows you their kind of running attack they have there.
Well, in the regular season, he didn't break 1,000, but I think maybe if you add in some of the bowl games or something, he probably broke 1,000. He was very close to 1,000 in the regular season. Do you know that they found out they played together for 3 years? You know they found out they were distant relatives?
Yeah, cousins.
How funny is that?
They found out in 2017.
That's
like,
that's crazy.
what? How do you not know? Like that whole time.
I don't know. I've never ran into a distant relative.
And then the chances that you guys just happen to be on the same exact football program and you're backing up, you're playing the same position. That to me, I was like, wow, that was kind of weird when I saw that.
why do we think that Penny isn't being talked with the Chubb, Barkley, guys in that group? He's been like a tier behind them, not like light years behind. He's still going to go in the first round of dynasty rookie drafts. He's still going to be a top 6 or 7 running back. But what's the knock on him? Because I'm looking at a lot of his positives. He's a first-team All-American. He finished 5th in the Heisman. He also was a kick returner and averaged 30 yards per attempt on his kicks. He has size for every down running back. He's a patient runner, controlled short strides, which is great for changing directions. Runs with a strong lower half. Arm tackles don't work on him. And one of the stats I read was that the out of 58 running backs that they polled in college football, the yards per carry when contacted at first contact or contact behind the line of scrimmage, he rushed for 3.32 yards after first contact. Just to put that in perspective, he was number 1 out of all 58 running backs in college. The one they compare him to was Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley rushed for 0.46 yards after first contact if it was behind the line of scrimmage or first contact in general. And that was 57th out of 58 running backs for Saquon Barkley. Everyone sees Barkley as being this stud that just runs over people and is fast and he's got all these great qualities and everything. He finished 57th. So essentially, if he's getting touched behind the line of scrimmage, he pretty much didn't shed any tackles or break anything off like you want your running back to do. Whereas Penny was number 1 of every running back and averaged 3 yards, 3.5 almost, after contact behind the line of scrimmage. That to me goes a long way. That means he keeps his legs moving and keeps going.
The only thing I can think is maybe a knock is that people look at him as a system running back. Like he has to be in the right system because, I mean, let's face it, if this San Diego State's pumping out Donnell Pumphrey last year, who was up at the top of the list for rushing, and then you have, Rashaad Penny comes in, he rushed over for 2,000 yards. Maybe that's the only thing that people can say is, oh, well, maybe it was their system. That's why he did go with their system. I don't personally feel that way. I think he's going to be a great asset to whoever drafts him, and he's definitely going to be a first-round draft pick in the rookie draft. And one of you guys have the number 5 pick, don't you, in the rookie draft?
I do, yes.
Would you even consider taking him at number 5? Like, would he even be in the consideration?
He is, only because I'm so overly have depth at at receiver, that I don't need a receiver, and I don't know if I want to waste a pick on a receiver, even if the receiver could be good in a year or two, when I can get another solid young running back. Because if Penny doesn't go at 5, if I don't take him at 5, he's going to go before number 10 or in that 10 range. So
I agree with
when
that.
somebody says, oh, it's way too early to take him, it's like, what's the real difference between the 5th pick and the 8th or 5th and the 9th? To me, if it's a player that I want, that I think is going to do well from my roster construction in the Dynasty League, I'll take a pick, or unless somebody wants to trade for me to go back, I would do that. But if that's my only option and I don't have another pick until the 2nd round, he obviously ain't going to last that long. So, I'll take him pick 5 if I love them that much, for sure. It's only a couple guys early.
Do you kind of see it that way too, Travis? Like that's what I was wondering, is like right after the top obvious
4.
Barkley, Michelle,
Geis.
Chubb, and Geis are gone. Now you're sitting at 5. Do you take who everybody perceives is the number 1 wide receiver in the draft? Or,
I don't think that's clear cut.
Or do you take the 5th or 6th best running back and take someone like a Rashaad Penny? Because I think that it was a tier with Rashaad Penny and Royce Freeman, Kerryon Johnson. Those guys were all the same. But after the combine, I think that Rashaad Penny kind of boosted his stock a little bit. Like, not enough to get to the top 4, but you're going to have to make a decision at that number 5 and 6 pick. Do I take Penny, who's the 5th or 6th
five pick,
or the best receiver?
What do you think there?
I would go receiver. I look at it a little bit different. I don't draft necessarily on need. I feel like if I draft well or draft good players or players that maybe have a high value level, I can move those players to cover those needs that I have. But I look at it at a value in a value way, that if I'm going to pay that high of a pick for Penny and I'm not really a believer, even if I am a believer, I still think I would lean in that position. Sutton, maybe Kirk, maybe. There's like 1 or 2.
But aren't you like? Is there for you? You don't have to say the name, but is there for you a clear-cut wide receiver, just one of them, that you think is better than the rest, or do you think that there's about 4 to 5 that are kind of smashed into one general tier?
I think it's 2, maybe 3 in a general tier that are very close together, and then I think there's a drop off. I don't know if that's the huge perception of everybody, because I think a lot of them are getting lumped in together.
Yeah,
but I don't necessarily see it that way.
I think it's a bigger group than 3. I think it's more like 5. In my opinion, there's like 5 guys that are pretty much interchangeable.
Depending on where they go, too.
And yes, 2 of them have a big name. They do. But they're not like last year with Corey Davis, where everyone was like consensus number 1 or number 2 pick in every draft. Mike Williams was up there until he got hurt, but it was like basically Corey Davis or everybody else. And this year it's not like that. Like I feel like it's all over the place. So like a place that I would love to see Penny go, just looking at our draft board, I would love to see him. You look at the 2nd round with Oakland Raiders at 209. That's somewhere where he can go in the 2nd round. You don't waste a super high draft pick on him, but you take Penny in the 2nd round.
Those are the Raiders. I might take him.
And you go to the Raiders. You know he's better than Rashaad in Washington. So you basically play behind Marshawn Lynch for a little while. Maybe they put him on special teams for a little while because he's a good kick returner. And then he gets his chance next year maybe. So in that case, you maybe don't want to waste a number 5 pick on him, and he goes like later half of the 1st round if he goes to somewhere like Oakland. But I would love to see him in Oakland, especially with what they're talking about bringing to the offense there.
The only thing, though, is that you have Carolina Panthers who need a running back. You have other teams that, like the Browns. If I'm the Browns, you're not going to take Saquon Barkley. They can just stay away from Saquon Barkley. The Browns have the pick 201 and 203 and 232. If they go Penny at 203, now you have 3 guys. You have your quarterback, whoever you decide to draft. You can go offensive line. You can go defense. Then you take Rashaad Penny at the 203, and I think he's a perfectly good guy to throw in there. With now you have an offensive line and a quarterback and a defensive player, instead of blowing the 101 and taking Barkley and putting all your chips in his basket on your running back.
I hear what you're saying about Carolina. I agree with that 100%.
Because Carolina's pick 124.
Yeah, but I don't think Penny goes in the 1st round.
Right. It's saying here you're going to have second round.
Right. You're probably going to have Saquon Barkley and Geis more than likely be the only running backs taken in the 1st round. I mean, someone else could sneak in there.
And then Chubb and...
But when you're picking 223 at Carolina, yeah, they have a better chance of maybe trading up to get him. But I don't think that... I mean, Penny could still be there, but you have other teams that need running back, but not stud running back that pick before Carolina.
Yeah. And what do you think, Penny? Best landing spot?
Best... I don't know about best landing spot. I'm just interested to see what... the NFL thinks, because if he does slide out of the 2nd round and he does go in the third round somewhere. I mean, that's going to say a lot. We can say all we want about how much we like him. I mean, a lot of guys like Donnell Pumphrey coming out from that same school, and his role in the league is not really optimal for fantasy. So, I mean, he could go to a good spot. I mean, if he does, if they do like him in the NFL, he does go in a decent spot. Indy's got, you know, an early third. They got an early second. I don't know if they go running back early second.
And then look at someone like the Giants as well. Like if they decide to go quarterback in the first round, or if they decide to trade that pick, which a lot of rumors have gone around that they might trade that second pick.
Giants should go Chubb.
They pick 202. They could go
Chubb.
They could go Chubb. I think Geis will be gone by then, but they could go either Chubb or Michelle or Penny there as well. So I think this guy should get drafted in the second round. One thing I do like about him coming out is his brother plays in the NFL already. And yeah, Elijah Penny is not a superstar, but at least he can give him a little bit of guidance and kind of say like, look, this is what you need to kind of do, and this is the way it is as a business, and just kind of give him some advice. And it's better when you're listening to advice from like your brother, as opposed to listening to advice from somebody that's just stepping up on a podium and they're like, hey, you guys need to do this and don't do this. You know what? At the symposium, it's different. Like you have your brother, you're more likely to listen to that guy than you are to some stranger that's telling you what to do with, you know, every facet of life.
Get your life together, boy.
Right. So to me, that's not a huge advantage, but to me that's a small advantage of having a brother that's already played in the NFL. Granted, he's not a superstar, but just having that help there.
So I got a question for you. So clearly you don't think he's the first or second guy off the board. Do you think he's the third running back off the board?
I don't think he's the third, but I think he could. Like I think that to me personally, if I'm probably taking NFL wise, I'm saying probably Chubb will be the third running back taken, and then I think it's a toss up between Michelle and Penny, who is the fourth. It has nothing to do with the rookie draft and where they get drafted by us as fantasy players. I'm saying NFL-wise, I think it will go Barkley and then Geis, and I think Chubb will be the third running back taken, and then fourth is either going to be Michelle or Penny.
I agree. I don't know which one goes where, but depending on where teams need and where they're at. NFL comparison, I keep reading Buck Allen for his NFL comparison. He doesn't have that blow away speed that's just going to just completely outrun people. Says that he needs to work on his speed and explosion. Ability to outrun the second level. Once you get because obviously if he's running 3 yards after contact behind the line of scrimmage, he's still busting through that front line, but that's not because of his speed. That's because he keeps his legs moving. He's got that lower body strength that he knows how to use to get through. But once he gets through that first level and now it's a linebacker in the secondary, he doesn't have that explosive speed to outrun them is what I keep reading. And every time I looked at the highlight tape, he was more about running people over and like running aggressive than like being straight line runner. He had to bounce around a lot, short choppy steps, but almost too choppy to where he was trying to juke too much and wasn't really going anywhere. By the time he gets his move done, two other guys now come over and now he's getting gang tackled on the field. So
yes, I kind of read that his issue was that he was too much of a straight line runner.
Well,
he's not really has the ability to, move really well in space.
Says he gets very bounce happy.
Yeah, I mean
like that.
So do you think that an NFL team would use him more as a Christian McCaffrey type, to where they use him on a lot of passes?
He can catch, but I think he's
gotta be careful.
too big. He's too big for that.
About comparing him to those kind of guys. I think he's going to be used on special teams a lot because he can. I think that's what's going to be his job initially. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I like Penny. I just don't know how high he really goes in NFL drafts. It kind of scares me. He scares me a little bit because if he slides, that's a bad sign for me. Like then I definitely wouldn't draft him high in a rookie.
If he goes where?
Draft. If he slides to the third round, or it's just really kind of sketchy that he's not being taken or he's being passed over by guys, and you're like, oh, that's interesting.
So do we all kind of agree then that he should be taking the second round of the NFL draft?
I think
we think he should. You don't think so?
I think within halfway done through the third round, he should be gone. I don't think it's a guarantee he goes in the second. I think in this back end of the second round pick, some of these teams can still get him. Like the Atlanta Falcons are 226. You have Carolina's 223. You know what? Even like the Detroit Lions, it's 219. Pick 19 there. I think that they could get Geis almost or Chubb. If they could get Chubb at 219, I would much rather have him than Penny if I'm the Detroit Lions. But that's why I could see him kind of slipping to the third round. Because, like you said, if those four guys go, we're not even talking Sony Michel. And with his hype train stock is going off in fantasy land, I just don't know, or fantasy football land, I should say. But in the NFL world, I don't know if the NFL teams are looking at, oh my God, Sony Michel is just amazing. Like they ran the 40-yard dash
I think
together.
It's completely different.
And Chubb outran him in the 40-yard dash. And Chubb looked better than Sony Michel in pretty much every category that they did in the combine.
Except receiving.
Except for receiving. But if you're using the guy's every down back, he doesn't necessarily have to be the best pass catcher. On the field, he could just be there for the first, second down, and maybe even third down carries because he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, I don't think the hype train on Michelle is going to translate to the NFL draft. I don't think those guys are looking at any of that stuff. They're looking at completely different things than fantasy guys are.
I mean, look, even the San Francisco 49ers, they have picked 227, 306, 310. So they have 3 picks there within 13 or 14 picks. They could easily take one of those guys, let high go, and get either Penny or Chubb or Sony Michel, whoever's there. One of those 3 guys is going to be there.
But where did they take Joe Williams last year? Because you think they use another high pick on a running back, like in back-to-back years?
It's not high pick. 310's not that high.
When you don't know they have in Joe Williams, though.
San Francisco's got 9 picks this year. This is the time. Cash in.
This is the time.
This is it.
I think it's hard. Like I try to keep myself tempered because when you actually look through old drafts or you watch the draft, the position players like we want to see go off, it feels like they don't go off very fast and they trickle off.
Right.
And it's defense, it's offensive line, it's all the big guys that get the dirty work done. And then a couple guys go in the second round, a couple guys go here and there. And when you really look at it, there's a lot of running backs I know that we like or that look like whatever, and they're not all going to go. Like somebody's going to slide. A few of them are going to slide. And hopefully, maybe those are good picks to target if they slide that far, and you don't have to pay that much for them in your rookie draft. But I'm definitely interested to see which guys go because there could only be one running back in the first round. Yeah, and that's kind of not like last year. A lot of offensive guys go last year in the first round.
Yeah, the first pick of the draft, and then nothing else the rest of the whole first round.
Yeah,
that would be
very possible. Who else was taken in the third round? Running back that panned out. David Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, I think he was kind of from a smaller school.
Last year, third round.
Smaller school.
You had Alvin Kamara, third round. Kareem Hunt was in the third round. Dante Foreman, James Conner, all taken in the third round.
So a bunch of studs and James Conner.
Yeah. Third round the year before, Kenyon Drake.
I think teams don't like to spend the high draft capital. They will here and there, but for the most part, it's defense, it's offensive line, it's those guys that you really need. But yeah,
so you've changed my mind.
I think a lot of times they go third round's like a sweet spot for running backs, and then shots late in the draft you see on guys, unless they're just a phenomenal prospect like Barkley's. I've seen guys start to drop and fall a little bit. I've seen in some places Chubb